Welcome. In this video, we're going to be talking about the distinction between the sensing and the intuition preferences in Myers-Briggs. Now, this is what I perceive as the biggest gap to bridge in Myers-Briggs. And so this video is going to help you to be able to understand yourself and others who are different from you way better. So the sensing intuition function is the second pair of functions, and it's really focused on how we prefer to gather information about the world around us. So the sensing type generally tends to gather information through the 5 senses. Makes sense? The sensing types generally have a more concrete approach to gathering information about the world. They prefer to focus on the information that they can pick up through sight, through sound, through taste, through smell. So it's more rooted in the concrete world. Now, the intuition, people who have a preference for intuition, N types, generally are more focused on gathering information in terms of possibilities and ideas in a more abstract way. So if the sensing type has a more concrete approach, the intuition type has a more abstract approach. So this can be really interesting when you put a sensing type and an intuition type together, like me and my mom, for example. So the sensing types can perceive people who have a preference for intuition, they can perceive them as being flighty or naive or impractical because they're often up here in the world of ideas, which can seem like they're up in the clouds. And then to the intuition type, the sensing type can seem simplistic or materialistic because they feel that they are so rooted in the here and now, in the immaterial world, in the world of the concrete senses. So this can create a lot of problems, especially in families. In my own situation with my mother, I know that I'm always coming up with all these ideas and things I want to do and possibilities. And sometimes I make the mistake of sharing them all with my mom, and she becomes very worried that, how are you going to do all those things? Because the sensing types also tend to be much better or have a preference for focusing on one thing at a time, whereas the more abstract intuition type thinkers like to have a lot of different things going simultaneously. So this can create a lot of problems too in the workplace, as you can imagine, right? Because the idea people think that the sensing people or the intuition people think the sensing people are shooting down their ideas, and the sensing people are thinking that the intuition types are being impractical and that they need to slow down and focus and narrow their approach. So this can be a really big gap to bridge in work and in life and all over the place. So one of the most important things you can do in order to have more joy and more grace and ease at work and in life, especially if you're finding that you're dealing with a lot of people who have an opposite type from you, is to first and foremost slow down and remember that there's no better or worse, that these are neutral, that these are just preferences, and these preferences really make the world go round. We need them. We need the practical people who are rooted in concrete reality, who are focused and structured. We need that. And we also need the people who are coming up with the ideas and seeing the patterns and connecting the dots, right? Both of these working together are way more powerful than either working alone. Can you imagine a world full of sensing types that were only rooted in the concrete sensing realities of the present? That would be a world without a lot of imagination, without a lot of new ideas and innovation. And can you imagine a world filled with only innovators, with only people who are thinking about these amazing ideas, but who aren't necessarily super focused on getting those ideas executed and completed? So these two types really complement each other, and they are also quite different. Like, one thing that you can do is, if you're not sure what kind of person that you're dealing with, you can start to observe how they describe something. So an example that I use in my workshops is I'll put out an autumn leaf. So I'll get a leaf with a bunch of different colors, put it in the middle of the table, and just ask everybody at the table to describe the leaf. And just from the descriptions that people write in 5 minutes, you get a really clear idea of how different these two types are. And this is a great exercise to do even before starting some sort of team meeting or brainstorming, just so people can see how different people are. On the one hand, you'll see a lot of people describe the leaf in terms of the colors, the texture of the leaf, if it's crispy or if it's still soft, if that it has veins in it, that it smells like autumn, right? So these are the people that are generally more focused on sensing, gathering information through the senses, versus the people who are the more intuition-oriented types will describe the leaf and talk about all the memories that it brings up from their childhood, or we'll talk about the uses of the leaf and how you can press leaves in a book and then use them as a bookmark, or any sort of number of ideas of ways you can use the leaf. So as you can see, both of these are really valuable. One in terms of gathering information about the here and now and the present, and another about making connections between the past and the future. So that's another thing you'll notice with sensing types, like my mother, is they'll remember what they were wearing and the exact words that were said in a specific event or situation, whereas the intuition types are generally really hard pressed to remember exactly what happened, but they'll remember the gist of it, or how it occurred for them, or the feeling they got out of it, or the idea that they came up with from this experience. So two very different ways of looking at the world, both super important and both needing to come together in order to create what needs to get created in the world. So I hope that was helpful for you. And if you want to have more juicy content about how to grow your business in a way that's aligned with who you really are, and also purpose-driven so that you're making an impact and a contribution to the world, and finally so that it's lifestyle-friendly so that you can have more financial freedom and more time freedom, then go ahead and download my Monetize Your Magic Playbook. You can get that by clicking on the link below. See you next time.